Greetings. In this video, we are going to look at the branching of the Vedas as to how the Vedas branched into four types and further subdivided into many divisions. So, we have to get back to the genesis of the Vedas. To quote again, to reiterate, now the Vedas were downloaded from the cosmos in the form of sounds which were heard by advanced beings who walk this planet. So, in the state of meditativeness, the cosmic truths were heard in the form of sound energy because the entire creation is reverberating. The entire creation, the existence is sound energy, an amalgamation of sound energy, and the truths were tapped and downloaded. Various truths and knowledge about the universe or spirituality were tapped and downloaded in the form of sounds or mantras, and they were recited and passed over generations after generations. There was no script. In our culture, sound energy was our pen drive. So, also, only through recitation could the disciples match with the frequency of the universe, which matches with the particular truth conveyed by a particular mantra, and realize that truth. So, there was no penning down here, right? And many devices like the 11 ways of reciting the Vedas were founded in order to form a solid structure that the Vedas are preserved over a long period of time. Now, so initially it was just a huge volume of Vedas. Many beings downloaded different parts of the Vedas. So a huge ocean which was not classified, not organized, and at that point of time, humans were highly capable of mastering the entire Vedas within a lifetime. Now, there was a being by the name of Krishna Dvaipayana who happened during the Dwapara Yuga with the Avatara Krishna, Lord Krishna. So he is whom we refer to as Veda Vyasa today. And why did he get that title? In fact, for every yuga there would be a Vyasa, and for the Dwapara it was Krishna Dvaipayana. So he mastered the entire Vedas, and he classified them into four parts. Now, the Vedas have a particular nature, the text, the mantras have a particular nature. Now, all the mantras which were rigs, which were bound to a definite meter, and it is usually in reference to a praise of a particular deity or a truth which denotes a particular deity like Agni, Indra, and so forth. So these are termed rigs. Now, a modern terminology for rig would be shloka. In the Veda language or the Vedas, we refer to them as rigs, right? So, and a compilation of rigs is what is recited as a suktam, right? So, for example, a Durga suktam is a compilation of rigs relating to a particular truth or particular deity, which is Agni and Mother Goddess, right? So these rigs were all bucketed into one bucket. They were all taken and compiled, and they were put into one bucket, and that bucket is what we call as the Rig Veda, right? Because Rig Veda, the name comes from because it's a compilation of rigs. And then all the Yajur mantras, right? Text which were in relation, or the mantras applied during yajnas or the sacrifice, they were bucketed into what we refer to as the Yajur Veda. And then many of the rigs which are in a Rig Veda were compiled into Sama Veda, and they were sung in a particular fashion. And the way the verses, the mantras are sung in Sama Veda includes about 11 svaras. So some portions of the Rig Veda which are sung in a Sama format were compiled as Sama Veda. These mantras are usually sung during the conclusion of a yajna or puja. And finally, those which do not fall into any of these were compiled into Atharva Veda. So Atharva Veda is somehow not really promoted, not really taught, because it contains knowledge in which man can gain mastery over something, and this knowledge could be potentially misused. This even finds reference in one of the Upanishads of Atharva Veda. We have the famous Ganapati Atharva Shirsham. So when we recite this portion, we realize that at the Palat Shruti, one of the verses describe about how one acquires papam, sin, if he teaches this Vedam to an unqualified person, right? So four buckets. But note that these are not just crude buckets as you think of. A lot of the portions found in the Rig Veda are also repeated in the Yajur Veda in the Yajur format. Each Veda were recited in accordance to a particular format. Right? For example, the sound gum is used in the Yajur Veda. For example, in the mantra, Ganana Antva Ganapati Gum, this is recited as per the Yajur Veda, whereas in the Rig Veda, the sound gum is never found. So it will sound like Ganana Antva Ganapatim Ganapatim, right? Instead of Ganapati Gum. And Veda Vyasa taught each of these Veda to each disciple. So he taught the Rig Veda to sage Paila, Yajur Veda to sage Vaishampayana, Sama Veda to sage Jaimini, Atharva Veda to sage Sumanta. Right? Of course, the Yajur Veda later grew into two varieties, the Shukla and KrSHNa Yajur Veda, which I have covered in another video, right? And now each of these Veda is further subdivided into four types of mantras. The Samhita, which is the mantra bhaga, it refers to the original text. The Brahmana bhaga, which comprises of mantras which give the application or commentaries on the mantra bhaga, on the original text. The Aranyaka, which is forest treatise, the parts of the Vedas learned in the forest region, and the Upanishad, which come as a conclusion. They serve as an essence to a particular Veda, right? A particular, like a crux of a Vedic truth in a short manner. It just gives out the essence of a particular Vedic truth, right? So each Veda were further divided, and they had many shakas, what we call as branches. For example, the Sama Veda had originally 1000 shakas, right? And a lot of these shakas are lost today, as we can see in the diagram, right? So even the existing shakas are on the verge of extinction. So it was a very broad branching. Now this branching was necessary because it made it easy for the entire Vedas to be preserved on the planet. Now traditionally, each family only stuck to one shakha of a particular Veda. So for example, one one individual, may be attached to the Taittiriya Shaakha of the KrSHNa Yajur. So he only learned the portions of the Vedas which belong to that Veda, that Shaakha of that particular Veda. So because the Vedas in their whole, in their totality, is so huge that it was nearly impossible for anyone to master it. Well, Veda Vyasa was an exception, and that is why he's entitled with that name, right? So this is a brief look on how the branching of the Vedas occur. So we should ultimately recognize that the Vedas were originally an ocean of knowledge, and it is not wise for us to actually split and divide the Vedas and compare one with another. All of them were downloaded from the cosmic archive. All of them are bound to swaras when you're chanting. That is the evidence that they were downloaded, because these swaras represent the skeleton structure of the sounds which were heard by the rishis, right? So the classification was done like a library system. Like instead of learning entire science, today we can choose to learn physics, chemistry, or biology. Now the knowledge are interexchanged in these three fields or disciplines of science, but they serve a purpose. It makes things easier. It makes one reduce the burden and to specialize into one particular aspect of science. So it's something like that. It's we can draw a parallel to that, right? So this is a brief info on how the Vedas branched, and just look at the descriptions in the link in this video below. Just look at the descriptions below this video. I've attached more videos on the Vedas that we have lost, the amount of Shakhas lost today, and the origin of the Vedas, and the difference between the KrSHNa and Shukla Yajur Veda. As we had seen earlier, the Yajur Veda itself grew into two varieties. So the difference between these two Vedas will be explained. So just have a look at the descriptions below this video. Thank you.